That 70s show was once a multi-Emmy winning phenomenon, but today, that brilliant golden aura feels more like a total crime scene. The group's cool rebel, Danny Masterson, has officially traded his vintage denim for a permanent prison jumpsuit, serving a life sentence that has paralyzed the entire industry. At the same time, the world's ultimate golden boy, Ashton Kutcher, is watching his billion-dollar reputation go up in flames, fueled by a string of deeply controversial choices. From chilling cult escapes to unthinkable criminal downfalls, the distance between then and now is the total annihilation of our childhood nostalgia. Let's take a look back at the chaotic, unrecognizable lives of the cast and where they stand today, 28 years later. Number 1. Danny Masterson, from cool TV rebel to life behind bars. In the haze-filled basement of the Foreman house in Point Place, Stephen Hyde was the soul of freedom, an immortal icon of cool that every 2000s teenager craved. With signature aviator shades masking a cynical gaze and those effortless curls, Danny Masterson built the ultimate big brother persona, the rebel who lived outside the rules, protecting his friends with sharp wit and a gritty sense of justice. At his peak, Masterson was Hollywood gold, a cultural anchor in an Emmy-winning series. The more audiences loved Hyde, the more they trusted Masterson's character. Back then, his future seemed limitless, a golden aura so bright it felt impenetrable by any shadow. But it was all a lie, perhaps the greatest and most sickening deception in television history. When the velvet curtain was finally ripped away, the world was left paralyzed, realizing that in the very years we were laughing along with Hyde in the basement, Masterson was preying on women in real life. This wasn't just a career slump. It was a brutal autopsy of total moral decay. Masterson was eventually convicted of raping women in his own home, crimes executed with chilling calculation and an absolute abuse of power. The horror reached a fever pitch when a religious empire was dragged into the light, the Church of Scientology. Victims came forward with harrowing allegations, claiming the organization used every tactic imaginable, from threats and stalking to psychological manipulation, to shield Masterson for over 2 decades, burying their cries for help in total darkness. This ceased to be a personal scandal. It became a seismic shock that paralyzed Hollywood, exposing how fame and secretive organizations can breed a monster hiding in plain sight. In 2023, the world watched in stunned silence as the big brother we once adored was exposed as a ruthless predator, hiding behind the dogma of a controversial religious organization to commit unforgivable acts. The tragedy of this fallen idol didn't end with the sound of a closing cell door. As the prison gates slammed shut, Bijou Phillips, the wife who vowed to stand by him through the storm, filed for divorce just days after the verdict. Even A-list friends like Ashton Kutcher and Mila Kunis were sucked into a vortex of public outrage for attempting to write letters in his support. Shunted by his peers, his family shattered, and his legacy scrubbed from digital platforms, Masterson wasn't just imprisoned, he was effectively erased from Hollywood's history books. Now, at 50 years old, the former icon of freedom is a nameless inmate at the California men's colony. Gone are the aviators. Gone is the vintage denim. In their place is a drab gray prison uniform and the suffocating silence of cold stone walls. Danny Masterson's story is a haunting reminder. Time can build idols, but crimes will turn them into ghosts that can never be forgiven. Do you ever wonder, when looking into his eyes behind those bars today, if we ever truly knew the man? Or for 28 years, were we just in love with a demon wearing the mask of a hero? Number 2. Topher Grace, the quiet winner who walked away early. In the vibrant but trap-laden world of Point Place, Eric Foreman was the heartbeat, the anchor that held those rebellious misfits together in his iconic basement. Topher Grace, with his lanky frame and a dry, effortlessly charming wit, created the quintessential American nerd, the underdog who was awkward, yet pulse-pounding and undeniably magnetic. At his peak, as that 70s show became a global phenomenon, Topher was the face of innocence and the universal coming-of-age struggle for millions of viewers. He didn't need muscles or bravado. Just one sharp, sarcastic line was enough to command the room. Back then, everyone believed this glow would last forever, that Topher was the ace destined to lead the cast into Hollywood's A-list stratosphere. But the whispers of tragedy and betrayal began in 2005, when Topher abruptly walked away from the show in season 7 to chase a film career. This pivot was branded by tabloids and hardcore fans alike as an act of arrogant betrayal, a classic case of an actor getting too big for his boots. Hollywood mocked him as a snob who wanted to ditch his TV family for blockbusters like Venom and Spider-Man 3. For years, he was labeled difficult and unfriendly, the only cast member who kept a cold, calculated distance from the wild parties and the tight-knit off-screen bond of the Point Place gang. Looking back from the vantage point of 2026, we've come to realize a multi-layered truth about that distance. Topher Grace wasn't a snob. He was a silent observer with an incredible survival instinct. While his co-stars were losing themselves in controversial cults, chaotic binges, or even horrific crimes behind bars, Topher chose isolation to protect his own soul. There is a grim reality in show business that Topher seemed to see through 20 years ago. Sometimes, the price of belonging in a famous friend group is moral complicity. The fact that he was the only one who didn't sign that infamous letter supporting Danny Masterson, and his rare appearance in those reunion photos, is no longer seen as being cold. It was the final act of integrity from a man who refused to let the darkness of Hollywood stain his life. By 2026, Topher Grace is living a brilliant life entirely on his own terms. At 48, he isn't a tech billionaire or a name splashed across the tabloids for scandal. He is a respected character actor and a private father with a peaceful, spotless home. The image of the scrawny Eric Foreman has been replaced by a composed man, with eyes that reflect the serenity of someone who won the longest game of all, the game of character. Topher's life is the ultimate critique of Hollywood vanity. Sometimes the real winner isn't the one who stays under the spotlight the longest. It's the one who knows how to get up and walk out of the basement before the smoke starts to blind them. He doesn't need a grand comeback because he never actually failed. He simply chose a different path, one leading to a peace of mind that his old friends couldn't buy back today with all the money in the world. Number 3. Ashton Kutcher, tech mogul facing a cracked golden image. If the 2000s had a face for effortless radiance, it was Michael Kelso. Ashton Kutcher didn't win over millions with brawn or brains, but with a laughable naivety and a smile that could light up the darkest room. Kelso was the embodiment of vain youth, a gorgeous, dim-witted guy who stumbled through life but was always forgiven because of his irresistible charm. Back then, Ashton wasn't just a sitcom star. He was the king of romantic comedies and the mischievous mastermind behind Punk'd, a show that turned the industry upside down. His aura was so blinding that people forgot that behind the pretty boy exterior was a brain quietly architecting an empire that reached far beyond any Hollywood script. After leaving Point Place, Ashton pulled off the most spectacular pivot in entertainment history. From on-screen fool to a Silicon Valley heavyweight and a brilliant humanitarian. When he co-founded Thorn, an organization using tech to rescue tens of thousands of children from trafficking, Ashton was elevated to the status of a secular saint. He was no longer just an entertainer. He was the voice of justice, a true life hero protecting the most vulnerable souls. The image of the intellectual billionaire with a heart of gold put him on a moral pedestal that no amount of money or A-list fame could ever buy. But in 2023, the world witnessed a dark revelation that shattered that trust. Was it blind allegiance or elite hypocrisy? A letter sent by him and his wife to the court in support of Danny Masterson, calling a convicted rapist a man of exceptional character, became an irreparable crack in his perfect mask. Here, we see the naked truth of show business. Behind glamorous humanitarian campaigns lies a tangled web of power where the silent vows of friendship can crush a moral compass. One perspective says he was just a fiercely loyal friend, unable to turn his back on someone who helped him early on. But a harsher view sees the ideological arrogance of a power player, someone who believed his personal clout was heavy enough to drown out the cries of victims. This event was a massive blow to social ethics, exposing the vast chasm between the man he built for the media and the real man behind Hollywood's underground ties. By 2026, Ashton Kutcher has become a specter haunting his own legacy. Though still a billionaire with a massive fortune, he lives in almost absolute silence after being forced to resign from all positions at Thorne, his own brainchild. At 48, his face no longer carries that radiant Kelso glow. Instead, it bears the exhaustion of a man who lost the most precious currency of all: public trust. The Ashton of 2026 is a sharp reminder of the vanity of fame. You can spend a lifetime building a monument to compassion, but in a single moment of choosing the wrong side between friendship and justice, that entire legacy can incinerate. He remains wealthy, remains powerful, but the cost was a permanent loss of respect from the people who once called him a hero. Number 4. Laura Prepon, escaping the shadows for a life of peace. Behind the confident smile of the girl next door, Donna Pinchotti, could anyone have guessed that Laura Prepon was living a life bound by invisible chains for over 20 years? Donna was the voice of reason and independence in the Foreman basement. With her striking red hair and that signature husky voice, Laura Prepon made millions of viewers believe in the image of a free, strong woman who never let rules hold her back. At her peak, she was the emotional anchor of the entire series, representing intellectual beauty and level-headedness among a group of impulsive friends. Back then, Laura's aura was so radiant that no one could have imagined a shadow ever touching her. However, a dark secret always existed alongside that glory. While Donna fought for feminism on screen, in real life, Laura was one of the most powerful faces of the Church of Scientology. This is a mysterious and controversial organization, accused of using psychological manipulation and underground power to cover up the horrific crimes of her co-star, Danny Masterson. The contrast is bone-chilling. An icon of freedom was a loyal member of a system constantly surrounded by scandals of human control. For 2 decades, she lived torn between her public persona and extreme ideological ties. It wasn't until 2021 that a quiet escape officially took place, marking Laura Prepon's true rebirth. She silently announced she was leaving the church, stepping out of the shadows after seeing through the emptiness behind the controlling doctrines. By 2026, at 46 years old, the Laura of today no longer craves the harsh glare of the Hollywood spotlight. She has chosen the life of a mother and cookbook author, finding true stillness through meditation and a private family life alongside actor Ben Foster. The Laura of 2026 is a completely different person, composed and truly free. She has personally shattered the basement that once imprisoned her soul to find peace. A luxury that her former friends, some rotting in prison and others staggering through storms of criticism, can now only watch with regret. Number 5. Mila Kunis, A-list icon, caught in loyalty's storm. How does one of the most beloved A-list stars on the planet dismantle a pristine legacy with a single letter? This is the tragedy of Mila Kunis. Long before she became a lightning rod for public outrage, we knew her as Jackie Burkhart, the vain, materialistic, yet endearingly naive girl in the Foreman basement. Starting as a 14-year-old who famously lied about her age to land the role, Mila pulled off the most spectacular pivot of the entire cast. She shed her sitcom It Girl skin to become a powerhouse A-lister, cemented by her haunting performance in Black Swan. Audiences didn't just admire her beauty, they respected her journey, a zero-to-hero immigrant story of a smart, fearless woman who seemed untouchable by scandal. But in 2023, the secret of blind loyalty ripped that glamorous cloak to shreds. The world was paralyzed when it came to light that Mila, alongside her husband, had penned letters to the court in defense of Danny Masterson, characterizing a convicted predator as a great friend and an exceptional role model. This wasn't just a PR blunder, it felt like a visceral betrayal of public trust. The scandal exposed a rotting core in the Hollywood elite, a world where internal protection and silent vows often carry more weight than the suffering of victims. Overnight, Mila was transformed from an admired idol into a symbol of elite hypocrisy in the eyes of many. Even after a public apology video, the way the world looked at her changed forever. The unconditional love was gone, replaced by a bitter, lingering skepticism. Standing in 2026 at 43 years old, Mila Kunis remains a living testament to how fragile an A-list reputation can be when weighed against a single catastrophic choice. While her wealth and status are intact, she has largely retreated into the shadows, strictly limiting her public appearances to avoid the embers of criticism that still burn today. Her face in 2026 has lost that carefree, Jackie-esque glow. In its place is the guarded caution of someone who learned the hard way what it costs to stand on the wrong side of a moral battle. Mila remains wealthy, remains powerful, but her legacy as America's sweetheart has been permanently tarnished by a storm of broken trust. It is a stain that even her most legendary future roles may never truly wash away. Number 6. Wilmer Valderrama. From notorious playboy to a steady hero who could ever forget Fez. The foreign exchange student with the quirky accent and a candy obsession who delivered some of the biggest laughs in the Foreman basement. Wilmer Valderrama breathed a captivating naivety into the role, transforming Fez into a lovable underdog that audiences couldn't help but root for. Back then, Wilmer was the show's secret weapon, the face of vibrant youthful energy, and an irreplaceable brand of goofy, innocent humor. But as the sitcom lights faded, the real-world Wilmer took a deeply controversial turn. He reinvented himself as Hollywood's infamous playboy, plastering the tabloids with high-profile flings, and most notoriously, that jaw-dropping Howard Stern interview, where he boastfully aired out the private details of his A-list relationships. It was a moment that tugged at the fabric of social ethics, a reckless flex of youthful fame that nearly pushed his reputation off a cliff for good. Stepping into 2026 at 46 years old, Wilmer has pulled off a spectacular evolution, from that notorious playboy to a steady, grounded hero. Through his role as Special Agent Nick Torres on NCIS, he has spent the last decade as a rock-solid pillar of primetime television. Today's Wilmer is a devoted father, standing as a scandal-free survivor while a storm of controversy surrounds his former co-stars. His journey is a definitive statement. You might start your career as a punchline, but maturity and responsibility are what truly define a man's final value. Number 7. Kurtwood Smith. The grumpy father turned into living legend. In a Hollywood riddled with moral decay, can anyone truly keep their soul unstained? Red Foreman is the answer. Kurtwood Smith transformed this character into an immortal icon of discipline, defined by his legendary foot-in-your-ass threats. He was the anchor of reason, the embodiment of old-school values in a basement full of aimless rebellion. Back then, Kurtwood was the gold standard of the American father. Tough and disciplined, yet possessing a love that never needed to be performative. But the most brutal contrast only reveals itself 3 decades later. While his on-screen children are either rotting behind bars for predatory crimes or losing public trust for misplaced loyalty, Kurtwood Smith stands as a lone monument of absolute integrity. By 2026, at 82 years old, he is no longer just the grumpy dad. He is the last living treasure keeping this legacy from drowning in the shadows of cults and corruption. Kurtwood is the ultimate winner, the man who walked through the smoke of that basement for 28 years and emerged with his dignity intact, while an entire brilliant generation around him turned to ash. Number 8. Deborah Jo Rupp, the Eternal Heart's serene later years. In the smoke-filled basement of Point Place, Kitty Foreman was the sun, the emotional anchor that kept the family from drifting apart. Deborah Jo Rupp breathed a captivating warmth, tinged with a delightful touch of madness, into the role of the quintessential American mother. Back then, her presence was a symbol of pure, unconditional love that millions of viewers longed to come home to, an aura that felt completely untouchable by scandal. The brutal contrast only reveals itself when we look at the wreckage of today. While the children she once nurtured are either rotting behind bars or reeling from allegations of elite hypocrisy, Deborah Jo Rupp, at 75 years old in 2026, remains very much alive, thriving, and radiating energy. She hasn't just survived, she has become the final anchor salvaging the soul of a legacy currently in ruins. With her powerful return in That 90s Show and her recent entry into the Marvel Universe, Deborah stands as a living testament. Even when an entire brilliant generation collapses under the weight of its own sins, integrity is what keeps a light shining bright and peaceful through the cruel passage of time. The kids from the Point Place basement have all taken life paths that no one could have ever predicted. If you still cherish these childhood memories, hit like to support the video and subscribe so you don't miss our future deep dives into the lives behind the lens of these legends.